Caught my cheating boyfriend red-handed. After disappearing for weeks, he returns with an ex-wife on his tail, and his mom knew the whole time about his deception. "I'm back with my husband," she texted. "I showed her everything and he exploded in shock. Now we're both rid of him. What's next for the liar?" Hey everyone, I apologize for the lengthy rant. So much has occurred in the last 24 hours. One update includes the following backstory. A 39-year-old female met a man online almost 2 years ago. He, a 50-year-old male, was divorced with 4 children, 3 of whom are adults. We quickly connected, and after a few weeks we became an official couple. We began sharing our stories about our past marriages, relationships, lives, and so forth. He informed me that he and his wife were legally separated, which I did verify, and they had been separated for years. He then explained that she was using online dating apps and frequently cheating on him. He shared that his ex-wife did little other than work and go out drinking and partying with friends, never inviting him. She is in the medical profession, and that she constantly yelled at and belittled him. He had been a stay-at-home dad taking care of everything. This becomes relevant later. I opened up about my late husband and how he was abusive and manipulative towards me and my children. I expressed my desire to be loved, respected, and treated well. I met his mother around the 3-month mark in our relationship, and he had already met mine. I thought I had found my soulmate. Fast forward to us dating for 5 months. We moved in together. Please don't judge me. I was love-bombed and treated well with amazing intimacy. His mother assisted him in packing up his house to move into mine. I owned a decently sized house while he rented a mobile home. His mother, a 72-year-old female, and I spent the day talking and getting to know each other. We discussed his ex-wife and how poorly she treated him, and she expressed her happiness that her son found a good woman who treated him well. His mother was like a fairy godmother, treating my children as if they were her own grandchildren and welcoming us into her family. Shortly after he moved in, he was laid off. He works in construction and began moping around, complaining about being unemployed, etc. It took him 2 months to secure a new job assisting a contractor in catching up on their projects. He was laid off 4 months later. You can see where this is heading. Aside from the questionable job security issues and a few minor irritations, such as putting dishes in the sink instead of the dishwasher or remembering to take out the trash, he was great with both my kids and his own. Overall, we were happy. We didn't fight frequently, and when we did, it usually ended with us making up. We had a very healthy and active intimate life. Skipping ahead to February 2025, after almost 16 months of living together, he lost yet another job. By this point, I told him he had 2 weeks to find a stable job and contribute financially or he would have to move out. At this time, I was the primary breadwinner, supporting 2 adults, 2 teenagers, a kindergartner, and 3 dogs, 2 of which belonged to him. We had this discussion on a Thursday. The very next day, around 10 a.m., he emerged from the bedroom in tears, stating that he had been feeling very depressed and was not in a good state of mind and was going to the hospital. I had that Friday off work. I began putting on my shoes, but he insisted I stay home, saying he would be there for a while and I needed to get the children from school. I reluctantly agreed. He hugged and kissed me goodbye, promising to call me after he saw the doctors. Fast forward to Sunday, I had been calling and texting him all weekend with no response. I reached out to his parents, who were out of town, to see if they had heard from their son and what the situation was. They told me they hadn't heard from him, but later texted me stating that they managed to reach him and that he was okay. Later that same Sunday evening, I received a text from my boyfriend stating that he would be over shortly to collect some of his clothes. He arrived an hour later, knocked on the front door, which was odd since he had a key, and before even stepping inside my home, he told me, "I will be breaking up with you. I need to sort out my mind." He grabbed his clothes and left. Fast forward 3 weeks. I hadn't heard anything, and his mother told me the only information she had was that he was okay, staying at a friend's house and was in therapy. After yet another week of silence, it had been almost a month at this point, and then my boyfriend unexpectedly showed up at home as if nothing had happened. He told me about the medications, the doctors, and his overall mental health. He stated that he would be living at his parents' house while he worked through all his problems. I agreed that this was the best course of action, as I was focusing on myself and my mental health and had started attending therapy. We discussed the importance of communication because I was worried he might harm himself due to his mental health. My late husband had died by suicide, and I expressed my concern. He assured me he was fine and promised to call and text me going forward, as his anxiety and depression had improved with his medications. We quickly fell back into our old patterns, lazy days at home and intimacy several times throughout the day. He visited me for 8 out of the 10 days. He expressed that we would keep spending time together and work on our relationship, stating that he couldn't move back in until we both figured things out. My instincts began to raise red flags the more he talked to me about everything he had been up to. One Sunday, he came over, claiming his phone was not working for some reason, and spent time with me before leaving for work and then returning. He informed me that as he was leaving the next morning to pick up his son for school, he hugged and kissed me goodbye, saying he would be by later and would call me from work. He seemed excited that we were back together and spending time together. Fast forward to May 4th, after 5 weeks of him ghosting me and after I told him to come get his belongings and dogs, he unexpectedly showed up without prior notice, walked straight into my house without knocking and said, "Open the garage door, I have a moving truck. I am leaving you. I can't do this anymore, it's too much." The spark that was there before is gone, and he began loading the U-Haul. At this point, I was honestly over him as he was acting like an immature man-child, which was quite unattractive. We had a casual conversation while I sat and watched him and his son pack to ensure they didn't take any of my belongings. My ex claimed he found a storage unit for a low cost and needed to unload the U-Haul before returning for the rest of his things in a few hours. He returned, looking pale, shaky, and nauseous, and even threw up. I suspected he might have suffered from heat exhaustion and went to get him a bottle of water. At the same time, I received a text from an unknown number asking if this was my name. I replied, "Who is this?" To which my ex responded, "What's wrong?" I explained, and he requested the number. Upon hearing it, he ran and vomited again. Another text arrived saying, "Hi, this is his ex-wife. I wanted to inform you that my husband and I are back together. I should mention they were legally divorced in August 2024, and he has been at my house since the day he left you and your residence." I asked him if this was true, and he responded, "No, you know she is completely insane and lies all the time." His child confirmed what his mother stated in the text. My ex-boyfriend ran to the bathroom to throw up again. I went inside to take my dog outside. When I returned, I overheard arguing by my garage. His ex-wife had found out where I lived and had arrived. His ex-wife, a 45-year-old female, initially believed I was harassing my ex because I frequently texted him to check on him. She accused me of harassing him, stating he had been at her house since he left mine. The shocking twist: his mother knew that her son, my now ex, had been cheating on me and did not inform me. She pretended he had been living at her house for nearly the entire time he had been gone from mine. His mother also knew about him cheating on his ex-wife with me and said nothing about it either. I explained to his ex-wife the week or so he had been coming over, everything he had said, how he was there before and after work, and how he still read my texts and screened my calls. I informed her that it had only been 5 weeks since I had seen, talked to, or been intimate with my now ex-boyfriend. He tried to deny it, stating he had broken up with me and was not cheating. I showed her all the evidence, every single text I sent him, every explicit message, and the text about us getting back together and spending more time together, everything. She lost her mind, throwing him against the garage wall as if he weighed nothing, and their son and I had to pull them apart. We confronted him about everything. He insisted we were broken up, insert friends meme here. Her and I both replied, "No, you weren't." I also informed her that during the time he visited me, he had been driving her car, his was in the shop. She nearly punched him, but her son intervened. During the week he had been coming over to my house, my ex-boyfriend told his ex-wife that he was staying at his mother's residence that week to help around the house with decorations and such. Again, receipts were presented showing he was with me. I discovered that my ex had run back to her, telling her all the things she longed to hear, that he had changed, he wanted to make it work this time, that he loved her. They had been married for 20 years and had broken up 5 times because of her, or so he made me believe. She presented me with all her evidence about him cheating on her 5 different times that she was aware of. He and his mother claimed it was her who cheated. After a while, she and I laughed at how incredibly foolish he was. We then asked him if he wanted either of us now, while trying not to gag at the thought of being with him. He responded, "No, I don't want either of you now. You're both terrible people and I despise both of you." I chuckled and said, "That's fine, dude. The thought of you makes me want to vomit." Both his ex and I proceeded to break up with him and kicked him out of both of our homes. I told him he needed to retrieve whatever belongings were at his ex-wife's house by Friday, and I said the same for my house regarding the rest of his belongings. He was furious and quickly drove off into the night with his son and a half-loaded U-Haul, because he got caught and didn't finish loading the truck. She and I stayed and talked, comparing notes. We both agreed he was a lazy, lying, cheating jerk and that we both deserved better. We hugged and apologized for the negative feelings we had towards each other. After being used and played by him, he deserved everything he got and then some. Additionally, before he left, we learned from their son that their father hadn't informed either of us about each other, as he needed to ensure he had somewhere to stay if either of us ended the relationship with him. I shed no tears over this man. I will be pleased when the remainder of his belongings are gone, finally feeling free. I am over this nonsense. His ex-wife cried extensively. She believed he had changed his ways, but he still cheated. She stated he was not helping at her apartment, no cleaning, no paying bills, etc. I feel sorry for her, as she was unaware that he hadn't officially ended things with me and that we both got duped. His ex-wife knew I was texting my ex-boyfriend, and he told her I was harassing him. In reality, we were discussing when we would have another opportunity for intimacy. I am sure I will have updates soon, as I texted him today regarding the date and time he needs to retrieve his belongings, and he needs to arrange a time with me, no more unannounced visits, as I dislike that. It is disrespectful and I have anxiety and need to mentally prepare for visitors. Secondly, I do not want my children present and I do not need to provide a reason other than that. Sorry for the lengthy post, I even left some details out. Thank you for reading. Update 1. The following mornings. I mentioned that I texted my ex-boyfriend outlining a deadline for him to collect his belongings from my house. His ex-wife ex-girlfriend called me this morning, stating that my ex-boyfriend told her I was calling and texting him, saying I wanted him back and that he should choose me, and so on. I politely informed her that I simply called him to let him know when he needs to retrieve the remainder of his belongings, nothing more, and I sent her a screenshot of the text I sent him reiterating the same. I told her I wanted nothing to do with him. She then began ranting about how my ex-boyfriend is a lying piece of trash and how she could not believe he was still lying about everything. I then heard him yelling at her in the background. I asked, "Yo, you let him back." She hung up and I could tell they were arguing quite intensely. Shortly after, she texted me apologizing, stating she was so exhausted from all his lying. I do not know if he was there retrieving his belongings or if she allowed him back in. Whatever she chooses is her business. My ex-boyfriend blocked me on everything after I texted him last night regarding retrieving his stuff. I informed her, the ex-wife, that I did not want their drama or to be involved in it and requested that she not contact me about anything other than him picking up his belongings. I sent her pictures of all the items he still has at my house, and she was unaware he still had things here because he deceived her about that too. Her only response was okay. I do not understand why he continues to play these games. I do not want him and I am not heartbroken. I am irritated and annoyed, yes. He is a deceitful, cheating individual, and although it took me a while to see it, I am relieved I am not part of that chaotic mess wrapped in a bow. That is all I have for now. I will provide updates if anything else transpires. Story 2. My girlfriend exploded over my sleeping habits. You prefer sleep to me. Even after explaining that sleep is a rare blessing for my insomnia and PTSD, she feels unvalidated. I'm torn between keeping my hard-won peace and clinging to a relationship that feels one-sided. Is it time to let go? TLDR, my girlfriend initiated a significant argument with me today because I have been sleeping too much over the past few weeks. This is painful for me because I suffer from severe insomnia, and getting this much sleep feels like a blessing. She has expressed similar sentiments that have hurt me several times before, and I am beginning to feel that the relationship is one-sided. Now I am considering whether the relationship is worth the effort, allowing me to maintain both my peace of mind and my current girlfriend, or if I must sacrifice my relationship to preserve my tranquility and serene lifestyle. Now for the detailed explanation. As the title suggests, I enjoy sleeping, perhaps a bit too much, and my girlfriend has a significant issue with it. Just for context, we have been an official couple for 3 months in addition to approximately 3 months of informal dating. From the very start, around our third or fourth date, I made sure to inform her about my quirks and the implications of being in a relationship with me. I have epilepsy, autism, severe insomnia, and even more severe post-traumatic stress disorder. I recognize that no matter how much therapy I undergo and how much progress I make, there are still instances when it is challenging to maintain intimate connections with me. Therefore, I ensured she understood the details of being with me before committing, to avoid precisely what is happening now. To clarify, I do not seek advice concerning my conditions. This is merely context. Living with post-traumatic stress disorder and insomnia, sleeping is a luxury for me. Most nights I am fortunate to get more than 2 consecutive hours of sleep without being awakened by nightmares. I feel fortunate if I manage to sleep more than 20 hours a week and am continuously sleep-deprived throughout the day. Nonetheless, I have discovered some peace, which I have worked incredibly hard to attain, and it is by far the most important thing to me in the world. The little peace I have managed to find is my most valuable possession and non-negotiable. Thus, You can imagine how much I savor sleeping whenever I can. Now onto the dilemma. Over the past couple of weeks, I have enjoyed the rare bliss of being able to sleep more than usual thanks to the spring holidays and an overall increased sense of calm, which I have taken full advantage of. As a result, I have been texting my girlfriend somewhat less, and on one occasion I woke up so late, around 4 p.m., that she canceled the date we had planned for that day. This very morning, I woke up unusually early, at least for a Sunday, texted her good morning, and after 2 hours of no response at 10 a.m., I assumed she was still asleep and decided to take a nap. I set a 1 hour timer to catch some more sleep if possible while still allowing time to wake up and maybe go out with her. I ended up getting about 30 minutes of nap time, during which she bombarded my phone with messages, expressing that my sleep habits were becoming excessive. She mentioned her worry that I might prefer sleeping over spending time with her and feeling that our relationship might be adversely affected. Upon waking, I felt invalidated and minimized by her texts. It seemed as though my ability to finally rest was an inconvenience to her, which hurt deeply. I had hoped she would be pleased that I could finally enjoy a full night's sleep, sometimes even more. Instead, she expressed that she feared this could harm our relationship and that she felt I would rather sleep than be with her. She also stated that she had made plans for us today, which she subsequently canceled due to uncertainty about whether I would wake up, and mentioned feeling uncertain in this regard for a long time. It's been 3 weeks since I began oversleeping. She referenced the one time we vaguely discussed going out on a date and how I woke up so late 4 p.m. that we could no longer go out. To me, it seems she is exaggerating somewhat, but I still want to validate her feelings and understand her perspective. I explained that this situation appears different to each of us and has varying levels of importance in her mind compared to mine. We should attempt to bridge that gap and approach the issue with a deeper mutual understanding. In response, she claimed to feel invalidated. Invalidated? Now, I found that accusation insulting. Nevertheless, I tried my best to remain calm, de-escalate the mess, and work towards resolving our issues while enjoying our Sunday. An odd back and forth ensued where I earnestly tried to understand her viewpoint and explain my perspective. She became increasingly closed off until she outright told me she was angry at me and no longer wanted to talk. At that moment, while all I could think about was reconciling with my girlfriend, a new thought crossed my mind. What if it would be better to simply break up with her? This is not the first occurrence of such a situation. I am somewhat overwhelmed by the frequency of our arguments in such a short time. On multiple occasions, she has said or done things that upset or hurt me. Whenever that happens, I strive to understand the situation better, communicate clearly with her, and apologize for any misunderstandings. I make significant efforts to change how I engage with her. Yet when I do or say something that upsets her, I feel as though she blames me for it, becomes upset, and often opts to avoid resolving the issue by taking breaks, seeking alone time, pointing fingers, and almost adopting a victim mentality. As a result, I apologize and strive to change, while ultimately, regardless of who the offender was, which I believe is irrelevant, I feel like I am resolving these issues alone while she puts forth little effort into nurturing our relationship. In essence, I feel as though my relationship is one-sided. Moreover, my peace of mind is something I have worked incredibly hard for, perhaps the single most significant thing I have ever fought for, and it is the most important thing in my life. Lately, I have felt as though this relationship has diminished it instead of contributing to it, which is disappointing given my desire for it to support my well-being. This has started to become a recurring pattern in our dynamic. Last month, I reconnected with a childhood friend and my girlfriend felt jealous. 2 weeks ago, she took me to a party where I knew no one, and she grew angry at me for texting on my phone rather than attempting to socialize. 2 months ago, she outright gave me the silent treatment at a social gathering after I plugged in my earphones because the conversation topic involved some of my triggers. Before that, she gave me the silent treatment at a different social event because I refused to engage in the social dynamic between her and her friends, which I found aggressive and disrespectful. Somehow, I always seem to be the one who apologizes to her and feels guilty while she continues to accumulate grievances against me for future arguments. She claims to value transparent communication, but consistently finds ways to avoid resolving our differences. She directs blame at me, stating how I make her feel or behave in a specific way in a progressively infectious manner. So now I am questioning whether our relationship is worth fighting for or if I might be better off breaking up with her, despite how much I love her and how painful it would be. I asked both of my sisters, 21 and 19 years old, for advice, but they gave me conflicting opinions. My younger sister advised me to consider breaking up, as my relationship no longer brings me peace. I am inclined to trust her since she is in a very stable and happy relationship herself. My twin sister, however, urged me to put in more effort to maintain the relationship because my girlfriend also brings me joy. I am similarly inclined to trust her because she has known my girlfriend long before I did, and she even introduced us, essentially playing matchmaker. Thus, in my absolute indecision, I turned to Reddit, the hub of wisdom and experience seeking advice. Is there any way to resolve this situation between my girlfriend and me? What can I do or say to preserve both my peace and my relationship? Or perhaps am I better off breaking up with her? Because if asked to choose between my peace and my romance, I will always select the former without hesitation.